It's been so long and we miss you. Today, 4 teams try to find their footing and forge a path to Tokyo. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 5 of VCT Americas. Of course, we're coming at you live from the Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles, California. I'm Golden Boy, of course, here with my wingman. It's Mimi, and we got Sean Garris joining us today for the big brain, mega wrinkly calls. Sean, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. I'm excited for the opening game, if I'm being honest. This America's game,
It's gonna be. You're very relatable. Thank you for that one. Now I just feel like I'm physically wingman. I'm just gonna like.
That's and
for the rest of
actually
the segment.
That is how you walk. So
yeah,
it all works out.
Happens all the time.
All right, well, guys, look, we last, of course, saw y'all during Super Week, but it was a game changer. Every team played twice, which, of course, shook up the standings a little bit here, and that leaves us with Loud still in first place at 5-0. But look who's right behind them. It's Cloud9, Sean. Did you have this on your bingo card?
No, not at all. I think most of us from Americas had Cloud9 at the bottom of the standings if you would have asked us in Week 1. But Jake and Rooney, time and time again, just have performed in these weeks, and they haven't dropped a single map to their North American foes. Last one remaining, Sentinels, this week. Kind of insane.
Insane what they've managed to pull off. And you say it would change up a whole lot, but the middle of the pack is still insane. It's still everyone at 3-2 fighting for a chance. We still don't have a clear vision of who's expected to make playoffs, which makes these next few weeks still so exciting. But the games today, you mentioned that NA matchup. We also have a really good Brazil showdown later today with a lot of history between the players there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch, right? Obviously, with regional clashes, you're always going to get that familiarity with one another. Yeah. But on top of that, neither of these teams can sacrifice these losses right now. So it is going to be fascinating. But there is some big news heading into this week. Actually, 3 numbers to be exact. 6.08. That is right. I was supposed to say to be exact there, but I didn't, and I messed that up. Anyway, moving on, though. We're playing, of course, on a new patch, which means that we have some changes. Mimi, what is going on in the video game today?
There's big changes in terms of the map pool, but the other change is pretty small. Some minor shifts to Killjoy. You can hear the molly from a little further away. You can see it when she's suppressed. But the big ticket item is Icebox is gone, and Bind is here.
No, that can't be the case.
It's happening.
It's happening!
And Bind has changed as well. There were some shifts to this map. You can see Triple is now massive. There's a new little box in the corner towards Danger. Some angles were changed up in Showers as well. I think it'll shift some of the ways the map plays.
Yeah, that wide boy entrance to Shower, CT spawn on B, will make the floods into the site a lot easier. But this teleport going into Showers is the biggest change in my opinion. It's going to cause a lot of posturing by this B site, and the rotate now from attackers with that teleporter might be quicker than the rotate for defense. So it could switch to a little bit more of an attacker-sided map, in my opinion.
Yeah, you also see that little window on B will make retaking a little bit easier, being able to throw utility out of that one. So some good changes for Bind, and I'm just super excited to see the teams try something new. It's been a while since we've seen Bind, and I think there's a lot of new ideas that could work with the meta. We've seen Harbor Viper be so prevalent elsewhere. I think this could be another great map for that. I'm so hyped to see what teams have cooked up.
Yeah, I feel like these double controller teams stay winning, which is big because Sentinels in this last week decided that they're going to keep Marved in the roster. So bringing Bind back in, keeping Marved in, that bodes well for Sentinels.
It does. It does. Now, let's actually, we can actually talk a little bit more about Icebox. But for more on that, though, and the Bind swap, let's actually go ahead and hear what the pros have to say.
Eu gosto muito da Icebox, é um mapa muito da hora, eu sempre gostei desde o começo do jogo, quando eu comecei a jogar. É bem triste que ele vai sair, mas vai vir a Bind aí, e eu gostei das mudanças, achei que vai ser da hora jogar nesse mapa.
A Bind foi um mapa que a gente gostava muito o ano passado. Eu acho que a volta dele faz que a gente se sinta bem. E a sair a Icebox, para mim faz sentido. A gente não vai, eu acho que não vamos ver afetado de nenhum jeito. Mais ainda depois de perder contra a Fnatic. Mas eu acho que estamos bem,
Mejor para nosotros, es nuestro permaban. Lo permabaneamos porque, o sea, desde el inicio ni lo tocamos, desde el nuevo roster no lo tocamos porque desde el equipo anterior no lo veníamos jugando, entonces no teníamos como la costumbre de jugarlo, ya que el Bind antes sí nos iba muy bien.
Bind coming in, obviously we're super excited just because that was kind of our map last year. We were dominant on that map.
Pelo que eu vi nas mudanças, eu vi que o bomb site A Tá um pouco mais aberto, tem mais ângulos assim para você pegar de CT e mais ângulos para você ter que limpar de ataque, né? Então acho que os times que têm um bom operator vai tirar um pouco de vantagem nesse mapa, porque agora os ângulos é bom para um operator pegar a primeira kill.
The biggest change on Bind, in my opinion, was the teleporter change outside of showers. Before, the teleporter was closer to the attackers, but now that the teleporter is closer to the entrance, more towards the defender side, they don't really have that space on us if they teleport.
Will open up the chances of being able to flex between the sites. So yeah, really excited. I think that's a really good change for competitive Valorant.
And then they added like a little window for backhaul. There was no way to like support the people backhaul, but I think now you can actually play on site and like support through that window if you have backhaul on both sides.
I don't know if we'll ever find much use for that. I mean, we'll cook something up.
Va a ser divertido jugar de nuevo Bind y se viene una semana interesante. La próxima semana va a ser interesante.
So you heard from the pros there, and that begs a question, and you kind of got a little bit of insight from them. Who are the winners and losers of this situation? Because it does feel like Icebox leaving does affect some teams. Bind coming in helps out some others, especially midpoint in the season.
For the teams that are playing today, NRG and 100 Thieves, both of them loved Bind last year. You heard Crashy saying it was like our best map at the time. 100 Thieves loved it as well, but both of these teams also enjoyed Icebox, so it kind of feels like a one-for-one change of positive maps for them.
Yeah, I would say the 100 Thieves side of things, Stellar loves calling on Bind, right? He's historically thought of it as his favorite map. That's some like insight into the team. So they're stoked to have this back in the pool. But this iteration of 100 Thieves was fantastic at Icebox, so it's kind of a wash. NRG, on the other hand, I mean, I think Bind coming back into the pool for them is fantastic. But talking about the rich getting richer, the Loud just benefits the most from this, I feel like. They didn't like playing Icebox, and now they get Bind, which they looked insane on all of last year. So I don't know how that helps out Americas. I feel like this just makes Loud stronger.
Yeah. A lot of positives for teams, but I don't think there's any teams that are like super sad about Icebox leaving. It's not like we have a fanatic who loves it. I mean, even Furious showed weakness sometimes, but I don't remember how good they were at Bind, so it'll be interesting to see if that is a map they bring into their pool.
For sure. Look, it's going to be fun no matter what. New things. In the immortal words of Barney Stinson, newer is always better. That is a sitcom reference for you.
Okay.
Anyway, will you miss Icebox? Tell us in using the hashtags, VCT Americas VCT. Mimi's going to miss Icebox
so
for
sad.
sure.
It was my favorite map.
It was her favorite map in the world, and she only covers duelists. And maybe, of course, we'll talk about your tweets on the broadcast. But guys, before we move on, I think we should give Icebox a proper send-off. And I think I have just the way to do it with some Heineken 0.0. That's right. Sean, here you go, my friend. Yeah, look at that. Look at that nice crisp. Wonderful.
Is there some
I will have my own here. And, we got a little spillage. Always love to get a little spillage. Wait, Mimi. Wait, sorry.
Mimi.
Here, this is for you, Mija. There you go.
That's good.
A little juice. There's no straw.
Hate to see it. Well, that's it, folks. Let's go ahead and enjoy a cold drink. And when we come back, we are going to talk more about this matchup. Don't go anywhere, peeps. You'll figure it out.
My 21st birthday, I'm so excited for a Heineken 0.0. Heineken 0.0 Icebox with Doug and Bala.
Thank you so much, Mimi. Bala, I feel thirsty all of a sudden.
Map 2, the Heineken 0.0 Icebox, Josh.
Heineken 0.0 Icebox. Man, I'm hoping this comes through. Hang on. Let's
Go
quiet.
Yeah.
We got a little something.
Let's go, baby.
Cheers, my friend.
Drink
Cheers.
responsibly.
Keeps it have to hold it on his own. He's got one. The time is short. He's got to hold it. Oh, my gosh.
All of this without you.
Taco has to find more value out of his blades. Oh, my gosh, Taco.
Not a single sound.
That flank could be good. Cryo's timing cracks the round open. That's wild. That's insane. Khalil, two crispy ones. The third just around the corner.
Without you.
There it is. DJ's in with one. DJ's in with the second.
Not a single sight or sound.
Coming in.
All of this without you.
Death playing with fire and the high-lows. Too much to deal with. Crashes with three.
Not a single sound or
Me too, but Mikala's weak. Saw him left in this 1v2. Letting it swing into him, and it does.
Trying to move into the site. It's a 4 versus 2. That's now Bang. Looking for the transfer. And he's going to get it.
Yeah.
The Red Bull clutch a 4K into the round. together. Som's got his back, angering at the back. Rooney swinging, and Som still locks it down.
How does Bang do this?
Shorty.
4 seconds, he's got to go! Oh my gosh, he does it!
Welcome back to VCT Americas. Now let's go ahead and get into our first match of the day. It's an NA clash, 100 Thieves versus NRG. Now, you would think that these two teams have a little bit of history between each other, but as a matter of fact, they actually don't. The last time that they played each other was September 2021. That's right. Like, I mean, that's a long time ago at this point. I still had hair. So, Mimi, these two teams have not played against each other. How does that shake up how a match plays out? Because these two teams, besides what they've seen, they don't really know much else.
It's interesting because you'd think with the kind of the big names you have on these rosters within North America, you'd see a little bit of rivalry there, but it was never there. Still, there is an element of history between these two teams, and that's in the coaching, right? Yeah. The last time that the core of NRG, way back in 2021, was playing with a different coach, it was Mike's, who was working with that team, who's now coaching 100 Thieves. And back then, that was the last time that 100 Thieves actually played against the core of this NRG squad.
Yeah, the Orange Chicken HD was in Berlin. He actually missed that tournament because of some passport problems, and that was the last tournament he played with the core on this Envy team. And then Envy went to Optic, and now the Optic core is NRG, and that's where Chet went full circle from NRG back to NRG.
Yeah.
So I think there's some familiarity between the teams, but the question here today is, can Mike get these inexperienced guys on 100 Thieves up to par?
And I was just going to ask a quick question from your, having done this as well, right, especially at international stage. What is the difference, I guess, that people should be looking for between the coaching styles of Mike's versus the coaching styles of Chet?
Oh, well, Chet has a lot different job, right? Where Mike came from on this NRG core, there's so much experience, just decades of experience coming from the in-game leader in FNS. So he has a lot of control over the team. And if you look at their spacing, their mid-round ideas, they're all phenomenal when you look at NRG. So Mike has more of a job of creating like cookie-cutter strats, providing these inexperienced players with, pocket plays to get them rounds against the NRG team. Very different jobs between the head coaches.
And with both these teams starting to find success in Super Week, you've seen them leaning into those two strengths. For NRG, their game was very much about the mid-rounding, finesse is calling. And for 100 Thieves, it was about finding structure that enabled their players better than in the first few weeks that they were playing. So in a way, it is going to be a stylistic clash of these coaches and of these teams.
Yeah, well, let's actually start diving into our first team here. It's going to be NRG. Now, obviously, NRG, they had a rough start. Let's not sugarcoat it. We've been talking about it. It's been a rough one for them. But it does feel like, Mimi, they finally came alive at the end of Super Week, and a lot of that has to do with them just kind of going back to what worked.
Yeah, they're 2-3 in the league right now. And the first few weeks, like you said, were quite tragic. But in Super Week, I think they found their rhythm in that game against Crew, which was one-sided. It was a stomp. And at the beginning of the season, that's what we expect when we look at those two rosters against each other on paper. But they were looking really, really shaky. And I think they shored up a lot of those issues by just leaning back and fixing these fundamentals. They slow things down, did a good job of finding the read against Crew, punishing their aggression, and just playing these mid-rounds. It wasn't a super crazy, cool, flashy game, but it was good, fundamental Valorant that we've been waiting to see from NRG.
Yeah, I think NRG lost their identity a bit in the early parts of this season because, like you said, it was the basics last week. We saw a lot of lurks coming out of Victor on the KJ role. We saw artists back
maybe they were trying to find a new identity when they didn't really need to.
Yeah,
when they had the core pieces there the whole time.
They were trying to kind of get ahead of things, right? End up in a good situation for playoffs, and ultimately they just couldn't get their footing to get out the gates properly. So they went back to the basics, get artists on that jet, and they look like a totally different team again. The ideas just flow. Everyone's utility perfectly plays off of one another. FNS no longer fully on the initiator. He might test it out this week, but just looks way much more comfortable from NRG.
They're starting to find their identity, but there is still that question looming of after the rough start, after the weeks where this team was struggling, was getting upset by teams like MIBR, is this the game where we can really start to instill confidence in NRG? Because at the end of the day, it's a win against Crew, who is a winless team in the league right now, much lower than the expectations that NRG had for themselves.
Yeah, well, who are going to be the players that you're looking for on this team? I think we all know where we're going for this one, because on the NRG side, obviously their key to success, one of the big keys to success, was getting Artis back on the jet. Now, here's what he had to say when I talked to him in between all of the curse words. But, you know, it's fine. We'll bill him at the end of the season. We've played some of the worst Valorant we have as a team. We've tried a lot of stuff. We tried the Killjoy stuff. Now we're just going to go back to what works. From now on, you're going to see a better NRG for the rest of the season. And, Sean, that is a bold proclamation, you know, a mature response, but a bold proclamation to be like, hey, this is going to be a different team all throughout the season. Do you think he's got what it takes there?
When he said that in the interview, I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, that's very bold, because the star player is essentially making the decision live on air right now about the future comps of this team without consulting with like the coach or the in-game leader. But honestly, I'm glad he did, right? Because they do look much more comfortable. He feels much more comfortable. He's in the action. And even if he's having an off game, his presence is there as Jet. As opposed to the other agents, I just kind of, it felt like he was missing a lot of the times. So I totally get where Artis is coming from when he says that.
For Finesse's style of calling, it seems really beneficial to have a star player that can be getting him those openings, getting him the picks consistently on the duels in the mid-round, to give him those opportunities to call, to play that mid-round that he's so incredibly good at. When this team was at their peak, it was when they had Ye, when they put all their resources into setting him up, getting those openings, and then playing these mid-rounds that Finesse is so good at calling. And with Artis now back on the duelists, I think we were starting to see glimpses of that team that had those peaks once.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Seeing Artis back on that was such a weird breath of fresh air, you know, that I didn't know I needed after so long, but I'm glad I got it, baby. But let's go ahead and hear from the man himself. Here's Artis on the internet chatter, surrounding the team.
I mean, all the fans think they know the best. Like, every fan who watches the game, like, everyone thinks they know how everything works, how the interdimensions of the team. They think they know everything. They think they know exactly who to cut and this team will get better, but like they don't understand a lot of like the in-game stuff. So yeah, I think fans are just always gonna be fans. I think it's in every sport, like an NBA or football. The fans always just think that they know the best. So just gotta let them have their opinion and respect it, even if it might be terrible.
Okay, a bit of a leveled response there. I mean, obviously, the internet is never wrong, apparently. And that's always the struggle, though, right? Maybe like it's always tough when you're put into this position, because as a pro player, you go out there, you put your heart and soul on that stage, and sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But it's like, sometimes it could just be very, very demanding from the fans.
The fan expectations are really high, but the expectation this team has for themselves is also incredibly high. In that interview, when he was swearing a little bit more, he was talking about how disappointed he was in how bad NRG was playing for these first few weeks. You saw the team tweeting about it as well. For them, their first few weeks of performance was unacceptable, and I think now they're starting to hit a stride where they can have more confidence in the way they're playing.
Yeah, and I think you can sense the frustration from Artis right there too, saying that the community doesn't really understand the interpersonal dynamics within the team, right? They don't know if, say, the Omen is the first death in a round. That could be the Jets' fault, right? For not opening things up or creating the right space. Or it could be the other initiator's fault. And no one in the community knows that, because we don't know how NRG designs their tactics behind the scene. And that's Artis basically saying, like, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. The problems are way deeper than you could even probably think of. We're going to go back to the basics. But just letting you know, you're wrong.
Well, it's always funny, too, because then at that point, everyone's like, well, they give us some transparency. It's like, they don't, like, they don't have to give you anything. You know what I mean? They're here trying to just perform and do their job. I totally get it, and I totally understand where Artis and a lot of these pro players are coming from. But, of course, the focus is going to be, you know, on how this team performs going into today. But let's go ahead and move on to their opponents. It's 100 Thieves, who are riding high after taking down one of the best teams in the game, Leviathan, and it was genuinely one of the most entertaining matches of the year. Really, in a year that we've been blessed with great matches, Sean, what a way for us to be able to get that with 100 Thieves, showing us that they can dig deep and pull it off in the end.
Dude, that ending was insane. All those games were insane in that 100 Thieves series, especially the opener where Leviathan stole 100 Thieves map pick in Icebox with the King 1v3 to get to overtime. And this version of 100 Thieves that we saw last week, probably the best we've seen yet. They bounced back blow for blow with a tactical team like Leviathan, and took Lotus as a decider to end up taking the series.
Wild.
This was the best performance I've seen out of 100 Thieves yet this season.
Their preparation was really good, but their adaptation was as well, because this game started rough with Leviathan being allowed to play to their game plan. It looked like it was going to mirror that MIBR game, where Lev just gets to do their retakes, to play their game plan, and roll over their opponent. But 100 Thieves called a timeout early, got proactive, came up with a new idea to shut down Lev's game plan, and adapted to it, which is something we didn't really see throughout the first few weeks as much for 100 Thieves. And on top of that, as we got later into the map pool, they also had new ideas. They finally pulled out a new Lotus comp after being so troubled at that map. Particularly their defense was terrible at lock-in, but they brought out a meta comp. They played it well. It's clear that 100 Thieves is starting to find their identity.
Yeah, and that is the thing that we needed to see at this point in the season, you know, plain and simple, because you're at the midpoint now, right? Well past it at this time. Like, it is time to step up, right? Now, speaking of stepping up, though, let's actually go ahead and talk and break down Derek, as a matter of fact, because I know that you have some plays you wanted to talk about with him playing the Killjoy there, Sean.
I do, yeah. So I picked a clip from their Lotus game against Leviathan where Derek was put on this Killjoy. And you can see here from the start of this round, we can take a look at, you know, this mini map. Derek's setup is all over here at this C site. The double nano setup, the turret up at the top, and you can see he actually will have the lockdown this round. Immediately, an Omen ult comes into spawn, and you can see Derek evacuates the site. He plays this situation really well with the jet, holds down over here in Waterfall, and you can see the lockdown comes in. It forces actually all of Leviathan to back up out of this site, play the time, and that's when 100 Thieves all rotates in. Derek comes back to Waterfall. The alarm bot still hasn't been activated, but finally is if you look up there on the mini-map. The retake comes in when Derek puts down his turret, which comes back for the second time in this round. So again, just keeping attention to all of the things that Derek has done really well this round on his first time playing Killjoy. So he has the turret holding the cross, and that's when the Viper's Pit comes out of Leviathan. So I'm actually so impressed with how Mike's had the players buy shorties. He actually called a timeout right before this gun round. The players have shorties preemptively for this Viper's Pit. And you can see Bang comes in, gets 2 with the shorty, or I'm sorry, Stellar gets 2 with the shorty, and then Derek gets 2 more to close out the round. And I just thought this was such a good round from 100 Thieves because so many ults were used by Leviathan, so much time and map pressure was made by them, and prior iterations of 100 Thieves rotates incorrectly, doesn't hold this C site, doesn't use ultimates properly, doesn't enter that pit properly. They did so many things well this game, and like Mimi said, all these adjustments are finally paying off.
They are, and the core of this team that was so good when this team was at their peak at like NALCQ last year, it was about the players like Asuna, like Derek, like Bang, the supportive members popping off, having these late round clutches, and just being consistently fantastic on their roles. And we weren't really seeing that at the beginning. It looked like Derek was slumping. Now these last 2 weeks, he started to come back and look like that player that we've expected in the past, and that's such a big change for 100 Thieves. Also, on your shorty point, for everyone playing their first Premier match tonight, please buy shorty secondary every round.
Well,
It'll
don't
just win
you
you rounds.
want them to buy shorties? Because what if they play you and then they have shorties? And
Exactly.
Then
If you're playing me, don't.
Okay.
But everyone else do.
Fair. Okay. Well, at least we got that one out of the way. But, you know, to the point you guys were making about Derek, there was a point in time where the conversation for 100 Thieves was Derek. It was everyone was always talking about how good he is, and yes, he has been in a bit of a slump as of late. So let's actually talk to Derek and hear what he has to say about his mindset heading into today's match.
Excited to play them. I always love playing against the Optic Core. I've only played them actually once with Rise a while ago. We did win that, so technically I am undefeated against the Optic Core. Hopefully it stays that way. You can't deny that that core is like one of the best teams that NA like pushed out. Obviously they're struggling right now, but I mean it's not how you start, it's how you finish. So I mean they can make everyone eat their words come, you know, week 7, week 8.
Just move on.
Well, there you heard from Derek. We'll see how he does today. But did you think we were going to talk about 100 Thieves? and not mention Bang? Come on, what's wrong with you people? Bang is awesome, the superstar of last week, and use that dad buff to turn it into truly a all-time classic clutch. Mimi, that was one of the best plays that I've seen across any game in a long time.
Yeah, despite the step-ups and all the good ideas, it still looked like 100 Thieves was going to lose this game to a classic Leviathan comeback. But on map number 3, Bang went huge. And throughout the series as well, his clutches were consistently solid to keep him in it. And you saw his parents were there, ready to watch this incredible moment.
Yeah, it's so cool seeing Shanzo. It's funny because the players within 100 Thieves call him Shanzo as an ode to Jimzo, who's marved, because it's his favorite player, it's a controller, and it's someone that Bang kind of models himself after. And that looked like marved in that clutch. That was so cold coming out of Bang to win the 1-on-3, you know, family in the crowd, whole crowd shouting Bang. It was just one of those classic esports moments.
Well, here's America's favorite gamer, Nate Shot, here actually just made, and of course, owner of 100 Thieves. What's up, Nate? Just made a tweet, or made a tweet the other day. That may just be one of the best clips in 100 Thieves history with his dad's mid-game interview, the map count scoreline, the length of the season, so much on the line. Crazy every single match. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. It almost felt like we had scripted the darn thing.
It was crazy.
We didn't, though. We didn't.
We didn't. Speaking of scripting, though, haha, this is a bit. We have seen some incredible moments on this stage. And in the first 4 weeks, we've had some not so incredible moments on our stage. And of course, this is talking about, you know, all the teams and, of course, the 2 teams that are taking the stage here today. But it's time for a new segment highlighting those special moments that makes esports Doug go, oh, no.
No.
VCT Americas missteps.
What? No, don't pull this clip of me falling.
Now I understand why it was called missteps. Oh my God, that was amazing.
I was trying to do a good thing. The geese were gonna walk into a road. I was trying to stop them. The Vancouver geese, I'm behind.
No wonder why they didn't show it to us. All right, well, first up, we have an A-side hit on Ascent that you just got cryo on Jet, and it all goes bad from there. Let's see how this one boils down. Oh, I think I remember that.
Oh, God, I roasted this actually in a breakdown. This was terrible. Yeah, just nothing out, just so dry. They have so many flashes. They have a drone still. They have mollies. They have all this stuff.
My guy's just hanging out.
No, we're not gonna use any of that. But I just want to give you mad props for that thumbs up in that clip. That was so fast. It was so fast. You acted like it was on purpose.
It was faster than the response that 100 Thieves had to using their utility in that particular moment. Look at that. Well played, well played. All right, well, next, let's go ahead and check out Finesse, who's actually trying to come through in the clutch. Here he is.
Oh, not this.
This is my
I
captain.
remember this one.
My captain, my captain.
My IGL.
Oh, no. That's the Golden Boy special right there. That's the... Oh, no.
Really does happen to the best of us. Oh. That's brutal. That's just a phantom moment. Happens.
The oh no is ripping me to shreds right now. Okay, moving on though, despite the win over Leviathan, I'm sure 100 Thieves would love to forget this moment. Look at this one here. Oh yeah, this one was heartbreaker.
I mean, I don't even feel like this one was like hugely their fault. Right? Like they're trying to fight together. It's an unlucky timing on the Fate of the Omen smoke. This one is just more tragic than anything.
Yeah, I think I would literally cry if I was.
I would have cried.
I would cry if I was coaching that match.
Oh, and finally, it's everyone's favorite Rays player. It's Artis. And an entry that doesn't really go as planned. Oh,
this was huge. Great pathing by him. Fantastic util usage. He could have got backside fully.
Look at this.
No one was allowed to be backside. I don't see the problem.
Boom. Blown up.
Oh,
what a Chad.
Back on Jet.
Back on Jet we go.
Send him back.
Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, NA's 100 Thieves and NRG are ready to take the stage. And we've got Brazil's Furia as well as MIBR waiting in the wings. It is going to be an awesome day of Valorant, an awesome weekend of Valorant. So you don't want to miss a single bit of it because, folks, week 5 of VCT Americas starts right now. This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. was talking about him, and this is going to be the guy to look out for.
Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't. Olha, Thieves, escala bem, faz duplo avante, vamos, Fogão!
Se acaba tempo e leva!
Fúria é um time bem cascudo já, os meninos estão bastante tempo juntos. Com a entrada do MW, nem se fala, é um time muito bom.
Olha o DG! Sensacional! Vai recuperar a visão, ele quer e ele consegue o ace!
Por mais que eles tiveram uma semana ruim, eu tenho certeza que eles vão querer ajustar os erros e vir mais forte contra a gente.
RGL! Tira do round o jogador que estava desarmando, RGL!
Still getting hunted. JZZ with 3.
I always love playing against the Optic core. You can't deny that that core is one of the best teams that NA pushed out.
Might even argue that Finesse might even be favored, and indeed he is. Seeker's not being used, and that's a double face. Wow!
They're similar to us. They're not doing bad, but they're not also doing what I know they can play. I think they're all solid, and I think they're going to be one of the teams that get top 6.
In the face of the spam, Cryo's timing cracks the round open. How does Bang do this? 4 seconds, he's got to go! Oh my gosh, he does it!
Both teams are currently sitting at the middle of the pack, but they're trying to climb up the mountain. 100 Thieves versus NRG. Let's get it on. As we have both teams here ready to go. This is going to be an exciting matchup because, Mimi, we see that at this point in the season, mistakes cannot be made here. No team is going to let you get away with it at this point. The competition is simply too stiff.
It really is. And both these teams, like you said, middle of the pack. 100 Thieves is 3-2 and NRG 2-3. For both of them, this game has massive playoffs implications.
Yeah, particularly for NRG, I can't imagine what their situation would look like. Dropping this map, having 4 losses with Loud and Furious still looming on the horizon. And we're entering kind of must-win scenario for NRG, which is where the experience lies in this matchup. This is crazy.
It does. For NRG as well. It's kind of a team who's freshly coming out of their slump. Same for 100 Thieves. Both these squads look like they found their form at the end of Super Week. And now coming into the rest of the regular season, we have to see, is that the form we're going to see? Are they going to continue to improve? Or will they slip back into some of the same mistakes that we saw both these squads start with?
Makes you wonder, right? Like, you know, what has been done throughout the week to just ensure as best you can, and Sean, maybe you can speak to this from a coaching perspective, but what do you do during the week to just try and keep the boys focused and ensure that what Mimi just said, going back into the slump, doesn't happen?
Yeah, well, you definitely have to do a lot to fix the errors from your prior week, while also keeping in mind that we're about to add a new map into the pool, take one out, so you have to quickly get that new map up to speed with the rest, and then you have to look into your opponents, right? So 100 Thieves likely did a lot of anti-stratting. I'm curious where this veto is gonna go. NRG, that's been their permaban pretty much all all split. So 100 Thieves getting rid of Pearl, also kind of expected.
Both these teams get rid of their permas. The question is, do we see binds? Because both these teams in 2022 were big fans
There
of
it is.
and NRG goes to it. You heard it from Crashies. This is the Optic Core's favorite
They
map,
waited
and
no time.
Yeah, Finesse wants to call on it again. But 100 Thieves was good on it too, right? They were fantastic there, so it should be a super interesting game to see what the reads are.
Yeah, both teams really good on bind. Fracture's an interesting one. 100 Thieves originally struggled a bit, but ever since we've seen Asuna lock in this Sky, they look like a totally different team on Fracture, and their control on defense has been phenomenal.
Haven is banned away. That's a good one for 100 Thieves to get rid of, as NRG's consistently looked solid with the calling there, which leaves us down to Lotus as the decider. Both these teams also were just finding their form there, going to the meta, Jet double controller, Sky composition, and doing pretty well on it. So that should be fairly even territory if we go all the way.
Yeah, 100 Thieves had a lot of questions about how they would be able to operate in this double controller meta, and they figured it out. They put Derek on the Killjoy, they let Stellar play the Viper, and that's how they tackled it. So will they do that again this week? I would be inclined to say yes. They looked way better on Lotus.
Well, talking about double controller, I'd reckon that it's something you can go for here. I know you were doing some theory crafting around it. I think it's an opportunity for 100 Thieves, though. It looks like they're going back to the more normal double controller with the Brim and that Viper. And for NRG, they do lock in the Harbor Viper.
With a Sage, though.
Interesting.
This is gonna be
100 Thieves
fascinating.
always played the Sage last year. We really had an emphasis on getting the spike down, playing their post spawns, particularly towards that A site. But for NRG, the Sage is... I'm trying to think what the idea is here.
I actually love the comp from NRG on Bind. I'd never thought about it, but Bind is a map that doesn't necessarily need a true Sentinel. Sage has always been kind of that pick that a lot of Jets make on Bind because the stall potential without a mid is so good.
Retakes with the Sage and this double controller will be really strong for NRG, and Slow Nade's powerful too. It's gonna be exciting to see how they've cooked this one up.
All right, well, this is it. Let's see how this NA clash plays out and send it over to your casters. Two guys looking to star in the sequel of Mario Brothers. It's Brennan Sideshow.
Thank you very much, GB. Yeah, you've been waiting a while to use that one. I know he has, because he said it to me in the green room last week. But listen, he's finally got it off.
He's so scripted.
It really is. It's just all scripted. By the way, he doesn't write his own lines. He gets it all right for him. It's not nothing off the dome at all.
Tragic.
NRG versus 100 Thieves. This is an important matchup. The desk has already set up all of the key points as well. But there are massive playoff implications on the line between both of these teams who are sitting at that middle of the pack, Josh.
Yeah, both of these teams are fighting for those final spots in the playoffs. And I think it's very interesting the way that NRG are playing against so many of those rivals for the final spots. And in some sense, NRG are trying to get on the same path as 100 Thieves. Both of these teams had a very rocky beginning to the split, and 100 Thieves now look like they're on the up. That's how you want to start a clash of the NA teams. A good old tech pause.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I mean, what gives us a bit more time as well to talk about those story points? Because I was like, oh, we're rushing through it. No. We can take our time with it now.
Well, yeah, it is very interesting. 100 Thieves, I thought they'd thrown their season away early on because they had so many weak games to start the season and so many strong opponents left to come up. And we were talking after one of their games about how it wasn't looking good for 100 Thieves because they had the top 4 teams in Americas coming up. Leviathan, well, they've beaten Leviathan now. NRG, I mean, they're not looking like a top 4 team anymore. That was based on their lock-in performance, the incredible pre-partnerships history that this squad had put together. But NRG themselves have been on a bit of a stumble. So suddenly, what was a very tough strength of schedule for 100 Thieves opens up a little bit.
Absolutely.
And this becomes such a winnable game, especially considering that level of strength that 100 Thieves brought to the Leviathan match in order to get that incredible upset victory.
Yeah, and I think it bodes incredibly well for 100 Thieves. You know, they've been surely fixing up those the different map compositions. Like you said, you know, the Lotus comp was being fixed up as well. I imagine they're going to be making more changes to some of the maps that they have been weaker at as well. And for NRG, they went into an interesting direction with this one. Bind is the first pick. Listen, it's week 5. Bind's back in the pool. NRG, this core used to be amazing at this map. Potentially the best in the world at it, right?
They were.
So
They were the,
it's
in my opinion,
understandable.
the best team in the world.
It's understandable that they would lean into it now that it's back in the pool, but you can't imagine they've got any recent practice on it. And also, that was back when they were playing Chamber, when he had Ye on Chamber as well.
Now, I do think a lot of the teams will have been scrimming Bind because they know that it's coming in. And I think most teams were looking to just get rid of Icebox, drop it out of their rotations in terms of the scrims, and replace it with Bind. If you're a good team on Icebox, you're happy to float it, you have all of that experience. If you're a bad team, you just get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
So I think NRG will have practiced this and will be coming in with a sense of confidence, but it is still a gamble. I agree with you there, Brent, because they're going up against a team that was good at it before, and NRG don't have that perfect comp. In the past, they were playing with Yeon Chamber, and they kind of introduced to the world how to play with the Chamber on Bind to such a fantastic degree. And when teams would play against them without running a Chamber, FNS would call for these incredibly aggressive defensive plays, punish the lack of a trip, and get behind them onto some great flank retakes. Now you're in a situation where both of these teams enter Bind, Chamber's way out of the meta, they've got Sage on both sides, but the important thing to me is Som playing Harbor. The Harbor Viper composition being chosen by NRG in this spot.
Yeah, it's intriguing.
I mean, we've tried some of it to theorycraft it for our Premier games. Shout out to anybody who's playing the Premier games tonight.
I mean,
and we were
practicing.
feeding on Harbor on Bind. It is somewhat difficult to like cook up those things on the fly, but that just shows you how good these pro players are, that they could come into a match like this and Som feels confident that he's got the tech down.
Absolutely.
Despite not having any other, like he hasn't watched any other matches of any other Harbor playing Bind.
No, I mean, neither did we, and that's probably why. I mean, we're also not pro players, Josh. It's also probably why we were stumbling. But listen, the tech pause is over. It was a small headset issue, as I'm sure you all noted. But we're heading into the match finally. Here, NRG versus 100 Thieves. Bind is the staging ground, and let's get this one started. No time wasted.
Really
Blazer leading the way through.
Really common Sage wall out there from Artis. It's one that we used to see from top teams on Bind all the time.
That's an up. Oh my goodness. Positions forced there from the nade. First fight taken for Victor to be able to earn that one. And yeah, that Sage wall, bit of a nuisance still. Blocking off the one avenue. Artis though, just backing away. Wants to play with the rest of this team. It is a 4v5. They have that advantage, but Sage wall's on Sage wall. So he's going to be blocking off another avenue. It's a flood attempt. NRG all the way moving through. Derek with the first one. Victor! Oh my goodness. Right click to the face will be brought down. Cryo's taking a fight straight to them. Still alive, still kicking. Derek top, and the classics do a work.
What a big round from Cryo. Just with the classic, as you said. It looked like NRG had the right game plan there completely. Shut down Asuna. Had B long locked off. The slow orb was good at the bottom of Hookah. And yet 100 Thieves still with that raw firepower overwhelming them, Cryo and Derek. I was all ready, Brent, as well, to come into this match talking about how awesome it would be to see the battle of Ardis versus Cryo on Jet. And actually, it's the like secondary duelist players, the flex players for both teams stepping up. Asuna, Victor, Raze. That's going to be a key battle. Both of these players very good on it with a ton of experience from the past.
Definitely comfortable. There's nothing complex about it with 100 Thieves approach. Just going to be barreling their way through. No resistance in their face, apart from the high tide that's going to be cutting across onto the side, but it'll be an easy plan. They want to take this fight to them. The angle's not ideal. Nade towards the back. Trying to win this fight out with the Spectres. This is getting a little bit difficult. A lot of damage done, but same could be said to Stella. Sat on 2 HP now. Just needs to survive. Stay by over the edge as well. 4 kills in the round for him, coming close up to that Viper's pit, where he's been farming this one up, and the tap of the spike to see if they can get Victor out of his hidey hole. They won the ace. They're chanting for it, cheering for it, but Cryo gonna be denying it.
Toxin screen down.
Clean round though, and like you said, Stella building close to a Viper's pit that can really start to get things chained together. On the other side of things too though, Victor's starting to get up to the showstopper. In itself, a fantastic defensive and offensive tool. So do 100 Thieves have something prepped for a bonus round here? These classics doing a lot of damage.
Yeah.
But as we head into the next round, 100 Thieves are grouped up heavily towards B. We'll see this in just a moment.
It's that fast beginning as well.
It's a weird wall. It's for elbow control.
Yeah, pushes them all the way back there, but interesting. Will allow 100 Thieves to get into the site in theory. Satcheling through, Asuna in through the back. Derek covering a lot of this ground with the Phantom in his hands. Asuna making quick work, make sure that he holds down the ground that he's gained. Wallbang angle. Forgot about that one, but it almost brings down one of the players. Still, Plant start to go down here without too much pushback. It's Victor, though, creeping around the corner here, smoke in his face, but he might be able to find a timing nevertheless. He's to play with the rest of his team.
It's a good high tide. It does the same thing the Viper Wall would for the retake.
Pushing through now. It's Victor. Takes the timing. Takes his names as well. The rest of NRG moving forwards. Taking the back of the side is down to just Stella. Bit of spam forwards, but there's a cove in his face. He needs to break it. He doesn't have the gun for it. Stuck all the way through. Full defuse, and it's NRG. Clinical with the retake.
They didn't think we would give up, did they?
Yeah, it's a nice one actually there from Arsena. I really think he's going to get dangerous on the B side. You saw his movement hopping up onto the box. Absolutely fearless in the way that he pushed forward based on the rest of his team's utility. NRG able to deal with it though, and the retake looked secure. It looked like they took their time, were set up for it, got Victor into a good position. Now the showstopper comes online. Stella's one away from his ult. There's a lot of things that can change the tide of this upcoming round. And it is a big eco swing round.
Slower than a snake bite. That's across the map. That global pressure that running the Viper on bind applies. A bit of a time in there with the dog as well. Crash is aware of it, knows that it's going to get broken, but controlling these extremities is vitally important when you're trying to play the attack side of bind, either through B-long or showers and making a play for it and holding on to that space.
And remember that NRG in the past, this old optic core, when they were playing against chamberless binds, they used to love to push on defense. So 100 Thieves have got to be a bit cautious about that. Though we can tell NRG perfectly happy to just bunker the sides.
They're playing quite far back as well. Big trying to slide off angle with 50 seconds left in the round.
It's quite a heavy off angle, really, isn't it? On top of this box, it's an unusual spot to play. But
because he's got a showstopper, I think, that he's playing there.
It's so good for a showstopper play. And everybody on 100 Thieves coming back over into this direction. They've left Arsena as the lurk, but that means no double blast pack.
And Victor. Oh, the amount of value you could get here. Maybe not a single -8 inside. Lets it rip right to the side. No! Damage done. No kills claimed. And a quick TP exit. 24 seconds left, though. And NRG have players to try and shore up the defenses of this B side if that's where they want to choose to end. It seems likely. Double satchel to the side. Arsena claims his. Still in the fight, still in the action, though. Blinded. Moves to the side. Time is of the essence.
10 seconds left.
9 seconds left. Be able to get that plant down. And Arsena still holding down the angles. He is tearing them apart. Viper's Pit dropped into their faces. This retake looking nigh impossible. And NRG have to accept the reality of their situation, backing away with the guns.
What a demon Arsena is on the B side.
Nasty movement.
Did you see his entry? The double blast pack. After where Finesse was holding, you've got to favor him to some degree, but he just has no idea where Arsena can land. The movement's so clean, he could land in a spot at backside, where FNS has no possibility of killing him, or in tube to take the duel, front side, and then when Crashes flashes out of elbow, Arsena just tucks around the corner and the players flood out of hookah. It looks so beautifully coordinated on the B side from 100 Thieves, and it's all based off how Arsena entries and the others follow up. I think that's got to be an adjustment now for NRG. I mean, they need a way of dealing with that.
His time has been taken now. But so far, I think 100 Thieves has been doing a very good job of bleeding out some of that key utility. Bind's a map where you've got your options open. Realistically, with the teleporters at a moment's notice, you can, you know, skip and hop around the map.
We saw that from Cryo in that round.
Exactly.
Just to dodge the showstopper.
And the best teams in the world, when they're playing this in the past, it's, you know, really making full usage of that. Ensuring that they bleed out the util, because it's quite choke point heavy. You know, they've been widened in this new iteration of the map now that we're seeing it. In a lot of the cases, but it's still, it's a map where you've got to try and pull all of the defensive utility out of them before you try and go for those big XX, but 100 Thieves in charge.
And this time out might feel a bit early for NRG, but we're coming into round 5. It's another very important kind of round where there's going to be ult online and people are going to have to play around them. And if NRG keep losing these close situations, they're going to be in a disastrous spot. Remember that the map pool goes to Fracture, a map where NRG have not really been leaning towards at all. And then Lotus, where 100 Thieves just changed their comp and beat Leviathan. So NRG's gamble to pick Bind here at the first moment it was available in VCT Americas, it's got to pay off.
It might bite them.
Otherwise, their season is on death's door.
That's what this battle here in the middle of the table between both of these teams is really all about.
There.
Getting that head-to-head, trying to break that tiebreaker against one another, because these two teams are going to be competing. Try and make it into that top 6 to try and make it into the playoffs. A different approach, though, this time moving forwards into showers.
And Victor on top of the truck takes down Stellar instantly.
No stopper, close to the corner, Som. Nowhere to escape. Another satchel through into the back. Nade going to be rebounding. Off to the side a little bit too much, but Victor contains. Calm and collected there with the aim and a satchel to disengage as he was blinded up. There was a res in play, but still, it's a 4v3. Derek! Where's he pulling that one from? He's answered, though. It's a trade. Still, Cryo's worked himself into that forward position. Control of lamps, but the spike is dropped in the middle of nowhere. Still, it's a 2-on-2. They've made it winnable. Seeker's going to be giving a little bit of, okay, information. Bit odd. This way, that way. Not sure where they're going, but NRG now going to be aware that still Cryo going to be contained into lamps, and it's all about these timings with the orb placed up.
That's actually given Crashies the timing to tug bench.
Player standing.
He finds the first kill, and this locks it down as well.
Oh, that's a beautiful round, and we got to see an insane wallbang angle from Derek. But NRG are often going to, if it feels like 100 Thieves are hitting A, they're going to still leave Crashies on B, or possibly Artis, whoever is hard anchoring. But a lot of the time in the past, that was Crashies. And as soon as the spike gets dropped there, once Stella dies, and the spike is in this kind of area, or when Derek died, pardon me, and the spike was dropped there, Crashies is able to full rotate and lock it down. That gives NRG a lifeline coming out of the timeout. This Viper wall's so interesting. It goes through the teleporter and makes it more difficult to get through showers, but they actually use the cascade and the wall there to just block showers off. So NRG can now lean 3 towards B. You see Victor rotating. And they're not worried about this B teleport. 100 Thieves control B long, but the TP can't do anything for them, and Crashies responds. Derek, he got the wallbang kill in the prior round and then punished for it here.
It's those glimpses of that old style of NRG when they love to play aggressively towards those extremities when they're playing that defense side. Crashies still at this slide-off angle. It's going to be noted there with a jump peak still. A bit of spam. Stops his spray as well. Dropped to 22 health. One extra bullet could have done it, but no, backs away to safety. 45 seconds left. Smokes have been dropped down. 100 Thieves, how do they want to approach this one? It's slow and steady. Laborious is the way I would describe it still. Maybe 100 Thieves can barrel their way through with a bit of brute force. Asuna putting his duel out. A bit of a gap in the wall there, but a plant's going to go down here still. It's a 3v4 with the Reckoning in the back pocket of Som. It's going to make this retake just that much more doable. Finally unleashed. Flash round the side. Taking the fight straight to them, and they're going to be favored. Positioning, it's not good. Cryo constantly having to adjust. He's fighting his ones. What? One more down. Still throws the fourth. Unbelievable.
Is what I trained for.
That is absolutely ludicrous from Cryo.
And not a blink, not a reaction. A small smile towards the end as it all sinks in. That's bonkers.
You're just not favored there. You constantly have to adjust. They double swing. He resets the aim fast enough to land it. I mean, that is just...
And Victor towards the end is timorous because of the shots that Cryo's already hit. And look at what it means.
Yeah.
There to Chet, head in his hands. That should have been NRG's round. They only had one final player to clean up. But my God, Cryo looks like he's back to his old ways, doesn't he? This is not the same player. This is not the same player that we had at the start of VCT 2023.
Exchange of the ultimates towards the beginning here. Viper's been actually being chosen to be committed here by Finesse with the Phantom in his hand still. A lot of pressure, look at this. I mean, there's a nade, a snake bite, spam as well. 100 Thieves doing such a good job of clearing out that area. And taking full control still. Spike's got to be planted though. You've got to be winning these fights out. Trading is effective. Flash to the side though, Crashies. More kill found down to that 2-on-2. Make it just one. Asuna has to back away. Spike in his hands. A fast rotation.
I think he took a Spectre headshot as he was fleeing there too. Only 39 health. Again, should be another round for NRG. As long as Asuna doesn't pull something, some magic rabbit out the hand.
What? First one found. Seekers. Positions noted. Down to that 1-on-1. He's low. No, he still wins it.
They can't lose.
They cannot lose.
The player quality right now that 100 Thieves are showing is just absurd. Bang's 1v3 clutch at the end against Leviathan on Lotus seems to have inspired the rest of the squad to try and grab the clips of their own. A 1v4 into a 1v2 win like that.
That's insanity. Insanity. He had a Seeker in his face, a flash as well that he had to dodge, and still manages to isolate the fights like that. It's just unheard of. But 100 Thieves, sheer player quality, carrying through a couple of these rounds now.
This is the first time we see NRG go for an aggressive push on defense that wasn't just a re-clear. They are full flanking. But Bang's watching for it. Oh, the timing!
Gun out, reflank attempt there. It's going to be claiming 2 guns as well for their trouble. Still moving forwards. Elbow. And back hall's not being re-cleared here. 100 Thieves are going to be feeling the pressure from every single side now.
Poison's off.
They don't have that hookah control. Waiting out of time though. Nade into the back of the site, but no one obviously going to be there. Showstopper right to the side with a satchel in play. Victor finds it on the high ground angle. Down to just cryo.
In a 1v4.
Yeah, I mean, good luck trying to do this one again. There's a wall in his face. No one tapping it. Flashed up, so now they know exactly where he is. And there it is, high ground angle. Watch for.
How ridiculous that that's the round that NRG find their victory in. A Thrifty, where they had almost nothing, and they're able to pull it off.
There.
But that's the power of pushing on defense against teams that don't have that trademark behind them that can tell them that the flank is coming. And I feel like maybe FNS will be going for that a little more. They did, however, get lucky. The fact that Bang was holding that angle the whole time and just pulls his iPad out as they swing, you know, that's not based on a piece of utility being used, I don't think. I think that's just a raw, unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
But NRG need the luck. After losing the 4v1 and 2v1, they'll take that.
Movement again, it's good for it. Asuna quickly vacuuming up all that space towards the showers area.
And this is a classic Victor play. NRG have seen this before. Cascade in the face.
Yeah, that's going to really put a dampener on everything. Victor still that off angle, though. He's got a lot of angles to watch there, but the high tide to replace all of it, so it's going to be coming off those angles. Still a flash through. Good enough job to try and dodge this one. Slow at their feet. Nobody making too many moves here. Still a minute on the clock. Avoided. Nade now to the side with a stun. They look like they want to refight over this one. Showstopper though, that's going to be used as a response, but the slow really just cutting them all the way back, and the fuse is just steadily creeping down and down and down. Will any kill be able to claim? Damage done. Right onto Artis, a bit of spam through the walls, and this is chaotic. This is scrappy. But NRG, they've got the better guns.
Spike down A.
Over here.
With that, they should be able to sail their way through. Bang at the slide-off angle here.
Remaining.
He's going to be dealt with. Finished off. Stella, the last one left.
NRG are really recovering this map. The determination, the focus, you can see it on their faces. But now 100 Thieves have guns again, and my God, have they been scary.
Yeah.
So we're going to go into a tactical timeout for 100 Thieves, looking to make an adjustment. But really, they've only lost one round. You know, the fact that 100 Thieves were winning in such tense, close situations, the 1v4, the 1v2, meant that their economy was in such a precarious spot. And all NRG had to do was win one Thrifty round, and suddenly 100 Thieves were thrown back in. So really, this tactical timeout, I don't understand what input they want to be having, because they've only lost one situation, and it was to a flank where Bang got unlucky with the timing. Apart from that, the 100 Thieves Sure, the game plan maybe you could argue hasn't been going so well, but the B hits have been fairly sublime.
Yeah.
If they can figure out a way of holding off the B retake, I think they should be able to close out this half. They've got such great ults to do it as well. Orbital Strike, they have the Viper's Pit to put down. All the pieces are there for 100 Thieves to grab these next few rounds. The pressure is really on NRG right now.
Yet still, they built up the bank, obviously, with those 2 rounds back-to-back. You can see the money situation looking quite nice, and Victor's even opted into the operator as well. This is, dare I say, a bit unusual. I mean, listen, opping on bind, not out of the ordinary, but you're running a raise.
You would usually give it to your Sage. We've seen people like CNED run the Sage off on this map really effectively before.
So maybe this will be throwing a wrench into things. Who knows? Still, 100 Thieves need to win this one out when they're investing everything at their disposal. And it's the same play by NRG. There's no real, offset to that. They're able to get that Sage wall down, which gives them a lot of information and finesse. Slight off angle. Bit of jar, and the rest of his team as well locks down that B-long angle on top of it. Orbital Strike into the back. Also being committed into this one, but 100 Thieves is a little bit disjointed. They're just battling right through, and guess what? Crashes! They all fall beneath his gaze. Derek, though, might try and switch things up once more. Absolute Ferrari swing, ripping off the heads of his oppositions, but it's going to take another clutch. Just passing the buck. One after the other. How does he do this? You're going to giving him this opportunity. It's a 1v2 down to that one-on-one. Som, ward to the side. Derek spraying through. A bit of damage done, but now the Cove in his face. Som sticking it down all the way. Needs to be spammed onto the angle, but it's just too much to predict. And Som, well, Pros just do not fake still.
A crazy clutch. Really, the attempt was great from Derek. I like the Cove placement from Som. It's in front of the spike. It makes Derek think that it's a fake, that he's going to swing through it. And instead, he just grabs it. But this was very, very close to Derek getting another 1v4 off for 100 Thieves.
Almost made it possible.
It was
so that LCQ form.
But shared throughout the whole of the 100 Thieves squad.
Yeah. And another early fight. Look at this. 5-ball in their face. Crash is holding a flash pop right through. 100 Thieves. They were disciplined enough. They had the levels to it because they were playing anti-flash, but they didn't have the guns.
And that's just made all the difference, hasn't it? 2v3s still supremely winnable because, as you can see with the NRG rotations, the defenders don't have enough bodies to cover the whole of the map. So if Stellar and Bang just play quietly for the moment... Oh, and now they're going to commit.
Smoke's dropped down, yeah. Unusual, look at that.
That's the new bind for
barrier of it as well, just pushing all the way through. Spam onto those angles. They hear the tap of it. Bang is left last one standing. Tries to at least block off one of the positions, but Artis swinging with the util. And so NRG have steadily been creeping forwards now. Off the back of that one Thrifty win, you can see the tide of this entire half has really just changed focus.
Yep. All comes down to that round 6, doesn't it? Or, pardon me, round 8. Where NRG were able to get that triple push off. I mean, just an insane situation that we're heading into here. A 4-round streak for NRG. 100 Thieves. The double blast pack initiations from Asuna were working so incredibly well. And I feel like they've moved away from that quite a lot. Maybe just trying to give a ton of respect to Victor's off
now. Okay. Clean with the movement to dodge it, but...
he gives up a lot of space there.
He does, yeah. Now he's not going to be so certain trying to post up onto that angle with the operator, but... pushing them back and away here. First 20 seconds just being used to fake like they could be hitting towards A with that pressure. Victor's going to be calling, though, the whole time now. Holding that deep angle into showers, and it's up to Crash with the jiggle. Doesn't get his head taken off his shoulders. Sives in a moment, gets good info for it. Now we see it. Initiation, potential. It's there. Movement's got to be corrected. Double Santra right up into the sky. Tries to avoid it. Artis close in the corner. Finesse well. The hammer and anvil pushed and pulled right into them. It's NRG who are striking all the way back. Derek left alone again. Into a 1v3. Where is the spike in the middle of nowhere? Tucked into the corner. With so much to do.
It's very tough. That Sage wall could get broken. He could get pushed. There might be flankers.
30 seconds
and there's a
left.
reckoning. Nade just looks unwinnable.
Just looks unwinnable. We've said that one before. Needs to isolate a fight. Will not get one this time. Som takes it. Som wins it. And so 7-5. That's going to be the scoreline, Josh. NRG doing an almost miraculous job of being able to find their way back into this one after losing that string of rounds to the clutches.
Absolutely showcased their quality here on Bind with that recovery of the half. I think they can be very, very happy with how that one ended.
Yeah, absolutely. Just impeccable stuff so far.
Take a look at the replay here as well. This is the adjustment that they made. Artis able to just stand in that corner, even though he's dying to the snakebite. Just determined to stand his ground and shut down Asna's engagements at all costs.
And holding all those crossfires, very important. But that's going to be the first half wrapped up. Let's send it out to the desk to break it all down so far.
Thank you so much, Brennan Sideshow, and an exciting way to start off here for Week 5 in VCT Americas. 7-5 in a scoreline, but a deceptive one because even though it is 5 rounds for 100 Thieves, they came off of some clutches and pistol rounds as well.
I walk away from that half feeling stronger about the game plan for NRG.
Yeah.
It felt like 100 Thieves was doing a lot of the same stuff as last year, whereas NRG was really innovating and having such strong side anchors. But despite that, 100 Thieves individuals were looking insane. They had these 2 absurd clutch rounds on the B site back to back.
Yeah, Cryo really came to play today. This 1-on-4 he had was ridiculous.
Filthy.
And then Asuna follows it up. Derek almost closed it out with a 1v4, but Som, perfect Harbor util in that 1-on-1 against Derek. I think Som had such a good half on Harbor.
He was fantastic throughout the half. And for NRG, one of their strengths was their site anchor players. Crashes in particular towards the B site, and both the Harbor and the Viper did such a good job of shutting down these executes. We expected teams to play a lot more around these teleporters, the mid-round potentials with the map changes, but 100 Thieves was just going for hard Sage execs.
Yeah, I thought 100 Thieves would use that teleport a little bit more in the B hits, and I think NRG expected that too, initially playing 2 people at B, but the adaptation came in late in the half from NRG. They rotated a 3rd player to B, and it didn't seem like 100 Thieves ever really had an answer.
Now we look towards the second half, though, and with this Harbor Viper, I think one of the big strengths is going to be extremity control. Those cascades are super good for scaling up long, scaling into showers, pushing a sky flash through them, similar to how we see teams play on Pearl.
Yeah, I think the cascades to get early shower control with the Sky, potentially get long B control, the denial of info from the Viper simultaneously, it could make things really difficult for 100 Thieves.
On top of that, when they go for these actual side execs, they still have that Sage wall to block off space, to isolate these angles, and NRG is really strong in the mid-rounds. I'd expect more play around the teleporters in this second half.
Yeah, real fascinating to see what NRG cooks up with this Harbor. But for now, though, let's send it back over to Brennan's Sideshow. Have fun.
Let's get to it then. The second half here of Bind between NRG and 100 Thieves. And yeah, I'm curious what the differences are going to be between how NRG are playing this attack side now.
I mean, interestingly, it looked like 100 Thieves were going for the exact same pistol setup. They had 4 leaning A, and it looked like Cryo was going to wall long, but they've made an adjustment at the final moments and put Bang over towards B.
Fast though. That's how they want to play this one. Flash in the face, a bit of anti-synergy. Victor is blinding up there. Nade to clear through, and he's not wasting time, is he? Swinging right through the nade and taking up all that space. Stella 1-for-1, and Asuna contains towards the back of the site. Stella moves forwards, blocks off the choke point, and no one can move past it. They've locked it all down here, down to just Som and Artis. Now, lots of tools at their disposal, but how do they find these fights? Lots of time left in the round. Lots of potential to slow it all the way down, and it looks like that's going to be their approach now. A bit of a contact, re-clear all the way through market.
You can see the wall that Cryo's put towards B long, and if Som goes over there, he'll find a timing just as it breaks. As the Sage wall breaks, 100 Thieves should probably be rotating another person to help Cryo here, but they haven't. Yeah, it's still only him defending B.
Locked off to the close corner here, spots it with a jiggle. Wow, okay. Good reaction from Som. And now just looking that much more winnable, potentially. Both going to be dropped into their faces. This is going to be hard to try and get through. Broken in just a moment, though. Now, how do you want to approach this one if you are 100 Thieves? Molly to the side, jumping straight up. You've got to be taking these fights clean, though, and it doesn't look just that likely. The frenzy's in their face. Asuna dropped to 1 health, and he's just not able to do it. NRG on the brink of defeat there in that round. That was a 2 versus 4.
Really nicely done. I mean, the gap that they find is beautifully timed around that wall going down. And also this pistol, it's an NRG classic. They love getting Victor very deep at the beginning of these rounds, double blast packing into lamps or double blast packing into showers and taking space. 100 Thieves just didn't quite have an answer for how they were going to get out of hookah there.
Yeah.
No flash, no blast pack. How do you break crosshair placement? And this gives NRG a massive advantage in the map right now.
Here.
100 Thieves are going to be kicking themselves. That pistol round was what was required to get them even.
I've not seen this defensive Viper wall. It looks like they want to flash through it, but instead contacting up.
Yeah, but it's held. Drop down. Making note of this one. Stella taking the fight straight to them. Som, though, still far back angle as well as just watching for the showers push, but hopes to contain as well as Stella was looking to retrieve that gun.
Finesse and Som are always going to be watching short and showers in those situations. And you saw the same thing the other way around for 100 Thieves. This double up in hookah is really the only dangerous part. They both only have classics. It's not like that they're with shorties, but maybe that'll help them out actually as the hit comes through.
I love this call though. Just completely avoid hookah control because you know that it's going to be compromised most likely, and even a high tide as well. Look at that. It's clever. Blocks off both the spawn angle and hookah. Slight angle though for Cryo to peek out of, and he is able to get a kill. Just the one.
Those high tides are so difficult to get perfect, and there's just a small gap there. I agree with you, Brent. The concept of the high tide is beautiful, cutting off hookah and CT. But that gap exploited. Does it make it winnable, though? I don't see how.
Asuna was so far away. I mean, it was an absolute marathon sprint through the spawn, and at this point, time is running so damn low that they just want to play for exits. They want to try and make this expensive. Nade in his hands, though. Asuna doesn't anticipate it. There was a player going to be pushed up through, and, well, kill found, another round gained. NRG, what was just a steady lead, a slight lead, is now starting to grow into something that much more, looking like they could potentially spiral into a map win.
100 Thieves need an answer for this early map control play by NRG. And it's difficult. The desk was talking about it. Cascades are really good for being able to take control. But even more than that, Victor's aggression off the Sky utility is in itself just hard to counter.
See how they opt to do it.
Here.
Cascade is actually cut short here.
That's to avoid the Sky Flash.
Yeah.
So usually, Derek is going to be playing towards B long and Sky Flashing that. They're trying to deny info.
Jump spot getting that information, though. So
now they've got a good read. As soon as they see Stella's Viper Orb go up there, they know that he's going to be playing around this area, and they know that this spot is the most important piece of map control they can take. And once they're past it, do 100 Thieves have anything to flush them back out? Is there any re-clear?
All right, he's going to be landing. Top of tube, maybe into the corner as well.
Cubby, yeah.
Yeah, it's a full execute. Slow orbs as well, and look at the space that it's clearing out here. Good response by 100 Thieves, though. They use their own util in kind just to try and push them away. Slow orbs and the wall in their face.
NRG have not left anybody towards the other side of the map. You know, normally that would be Som or Finesse, but they're actually required to be here to use those snake bites and that high tide. So the pivot through the teleporter would be somewhat of a gamble right now.
Instead, it's going to be the cut noise re-hit. That's the only plan that they can really go towards. The spike is leaning towards hookah.
100 Thieves have read it, but they don't have much utility.
Nade flash slow. Satchel movement. Tries to offset it. Still Cryo. Round to the side. It's going to be the cove in his face, but no one's planting this one. Time running so low. And there's Som just trying to isolate these fights. One after the other moves to the side. He gets his 2 kills. Spike has to be planted though. Bang. Creeping, crawling around the side. He spots the plan and denies it. Okay. Around 1. It's the sole player left standing. And this has been a trend so far this entire map. The rounds that 100 Thieves are winning. 1 player surviving. Not much left in terms of the bank, in terms of being able to pull up. Because look at it. 100 Thieves, they win the round, and the investment in terms of their guns, I mean, we can see it.
Last player standing.
Stingers and half armor.
1 enemy remaining.
Yeah, I mean, take a look at what Bren was just talking about here. It's really rough economy for 100 Thieves because that bonus round did enormous damage. And 100 Thieves look like they want to push down short.
Aggression. One angle watch for.
Wow, it's a
Locked
market
off.
crunch, but there's nobody there.
Yeah.
It's only Artist giving them info, and NRG react.
Very cool idea. Trying to squeeze them as well to Trailblazer. Artist barreling forwards, crashes there to trade. And the Reckoning as well gives them full peace of mind. No sound cues. They know that the site is fully cleared out. NRG on the cusp now of claiming that 10th round. Post-plan positioning is more than good. Derek, though, disrespect being showcased. He thought he had the kill. Bit of a stinger moment there. Just couldn't quite land that third bullet onto the head.
And Stella with the Spectre in heaven. Might be ruining the decision to force buy here. Despite the fact that 100 Thieves won the round, it was just over from the get-go.
Hoping he can get a rifle, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to take a Phantom and get away. NRG looking so comfortable on this map. The calls are instinctive. Their players just understand their positions so well. Everyone looks comfortable.
Yeah, it's very well drilled.
That has made an enormous difference in the last week with NRG, getting people onto comfort roles. And yeah, I know you look at this and Victor's playing Duelist and Artis isn't, right? But that's not the point. Victor's been playing Raze on bind since people were making stone carvings of it. You know, NRG are super comfortable in this kind of spot. And they force 100 Thieves to take their last tack timeout of the map.
A necessary one. Because this is a map that has been spiraling out of control. Big ultimates online, of course, that we can see from the glimpse of this one for 100 Thieves. Maybe something that can turn the momentum, maybe get it on their side. But they don't have the money to really be investing into this one. And that's going to be probably what they're going to be calling now, you know? How do we want to be working with what we've got?
It's a tough situation. Can they cook up some kind of set play? Possibly. Are they able to get Stella into a position where he might be able to play aggressive, and then they close out the rounds with a showstopper orbital strike kind of plays? Maybe. But it doesn't look good for them.
No.
And just to return back to that NRG point, there was a really good interview this week coming out of NRG's victory that FNS did with Declan McLaughlin for DeCherto, where they were talking, FNS was talking about how they felt like, the quote was, especially versus Cloud9 and MIBR, it felt like we just didn't have instinct plays. We had no instincts in terms of that killer instinct. Everyone was playing almost like an NPC robot, doing what they were supposed to do and not trying to move away from that. And I think you just see the difference when NRG played on Ascent previously to close out that series, and here on Bind, that they're able to improvise on the fly and have those instinctive plays to punish 100 Thieves.
Those mid-round calls as well that have been so damn good.
They go for a showers crunch there. And Dog, does NRG realize that? Do they read it?
Spots the one. Is that going to give them enough information?
Usually if teams go for showers crunches, the react would be to head fast B.
Grouped up, Asuna. He was close on the corner because he had his showstopper, but he's rotating all the way back out. What's the kind of call that he's received here? I mean, whatever it is, it's incorrect because he was already out of there. He could have potentially got more. Still, Showers is in control of them for but a moment. Spike going to be planted though. Nade, no, denies it actually, so has to back away. Have to respect this one. Still with the ults online. Classic kill, showstopper. Oh, but a strike committing it. The call has been made and there's 100 Thieves who are winning it.
Look at that. Last player standing.
No rivals in their hands, left up to Som now. Rez bringing Derek back into the fold, making sure that this is fully cleaned up. No gaps in the play, no weaknesses. Cascades in their face, blocked off, a bit of spam. Maybe a kill could be found, but no, it's counter play, counter spam. Bringing him down. What a turning point. A heavy investment, don't get me wrong, for 100 Thieves, committing all those ultimates, but they win the round, and that's the important factor.
It feels like that same swing round, round 8, where we saw NRG go for the aggressive push, manage to find a thrifty. It feels like it could be a similar shift in momentum happening at about the same time in the second half. 100 Thieves have managed to claw their way back in and bring this to only a 3-round deficit. But what was it off the back of? Going for a showers crunch, stacking the site, getting a bit lucky perhaps that NRG full committed A, and then recovering by using a ton of ultimates. Well, that ult economy is now massively in favor of NRG.
Rather lopsided.
They just have so many entry tools to batter back these two B defenders and cement their position on site.
So looking at this round, we now start to think about it in terms of 100 Thieves really needing to win it. And you can see it as soon as the contact is spotted. The showstopper, yeah, Victor carving out a path for the rest of his team to follow. Seekers as well. Now going to be that extra level applied. They know where Cryo is. They know his position's noted. There's going to be a double swing. Should be clinical, should be clean. But again, you are facing Cryo. You're trying to take the fight to him. Eventually, he falls as Asuna tries to relieve that pressure, flooding into the back. But the crossfire setup's too damn good. And left down to Derek.
Spike planted.
That was what one of the players is. Tries to get one of the fights under his belt. Wins it. Still low. Flash to the side, pushes them back and away. Spring down, hoping that they would swing into it. But it's clean from NRG. 3 players surviving into it, keeping their rifles going.
And still keeping a good postman tool with Finesse's Viper's Pit. I was a little concerned that they didn't clear out Cryo as quickly as they could have done. But the opening aggression from Victor is really what's cementing it. Victor's entry capabilities, when he has that set idea of what he's supposed to be doing and how he makes space for the rest of his team, it's sublime. We just have so much footage at this point of him playing Raze with a fast entry, Neon with a fast entry. It works. This style just works for NRG. Hundred Thieves Sage Wall cuts off Showers as the Trailblazers used very early in the round to try and spot anybody short. The problem is, it only really saw, you know, many people shooting bullets and then Finesse. And Finesse is always going to be holding this spot, even if they're lurking towards B.
It's been slowed all the way through, so Finesse potentially waiting for the Viper to come back online so we can try and get a bit of a lurk play, maybe, but the rest of his team is right behind him as well with that spike in their hands. They are set up for a TP pivot.
Yeah, it looks like an A fake into a B pivot.
Okay.
Are they gonna pit?
Yeah, I think this really does sell it though.
This is crazy. Look at the defender rotation.
Absolutely. They've dragged them all the way through, and guess what? Spike is not here. And now the space steadily gets taken up.
What a masterclass. What a finesse.
Stella's the last one standing here. I mean, it's going to be noted now that they are heading on to B, and he's going to be calling, guys, it was a fake. They committed into this one, but it leaves now. Victor is a bit of a backstab. This Viper's Pit is going to be fading. Finesse is all the way out of this one. Let's see what value he can get, but there is so much chaos in this round that anything can happen. This fight is so important. Bang wins it. Big one for him. He's left it now into that 4v5. NRG, how do they hold on to the post plan? Smokes in their face. Push past this one. Even a Cove as well on top of it. So many things to be dealt with on top of the wall. Trying to watch through it. Drops down. Stella can't really help the rest of his team. Blocks being broken and fights being taken. It's NRG to get themselves onto that 12th round. What a masterclass that was caught by Finesse.
Match point.
That's where you see the value that this guy can give a team. The mind games are going to continue all match between Finesse and Stella. But this is exactly the kind of round that Finesse loves to call.
Yeah.
It's just impossible to read from the defender's point of view. And also in the post plant, we saw the value of Soms Harbor. The high tide, the cascades are so difficult to get through. Being slowed as you enter is a nightmare for the retakers. Playing into the strengths of the composition wonderfully. Now here, Victor still has Boombot, Crashing still has Trailblazer. They could try and put a huge amount of pressure on Stella. In the past, the play that they've gone for is to run the dog through the Viper's Pit and have Victor double blast pack from hookah into the pit. So they do this weird crunch play from hookah and from long. Now, they haven't run that for like half a year.
It's been a while.
Because Bind's been out of the rotation. Are they going to try it here? Would 100 Thieves be ready for it? Of course, they could always just end A and void this ult entirely.
Dogger, I think, spotting Aston there onto the close corner, but 50 seconds remaining. Time has been bought, of course, but 5 opportunities for NRG to close out this first map. Stem that are on the cusp, and the pressure's going to be felt now. The heat turned up for 100 Thieves. You've got to make a difference and maybe take some risks. You're seeing it here. Manifested, I mean, Asuna's just holding close inside the brim smoke, looking this way, that way. He's on a swivel. doesn't know what angle to watch. Smoke's going to be dissipating in just a moment, but with 25 seconds left, if he can try and deny them from even getting into the choke point, it could make all the difference. Underhanded nade, now to Reckoning. Pushing through. No one can really stand still anyway. You got to try and hold your ground, but the fight's being taken anyway. Barreled through. Still time. It's running so damn short. And bang. What a transfer. 7 seconds remaining up on top of the wall. Could have been a mistake, but a spike. Oh, it's planted. And time has been bought. Ardis onto the high ground position. He wins his fight out down to Stella to salvage the map, to keep them in it. But NRG, they've already got his position noted. It's doubled up. It's doubled up is the play, and it works out. 280.
NRG back to comfort territory. The Kings of Bind. They keep it going. It felt like a gamble, it really did. When Bind hasn't been in the map pool and you have no match data to go on, to just think, yeah, we can win this. This should be our map pick. By the way, Haven was open. Yep. NRG could have gone to probably their best map in the pool, but who knows? Now with this map pool shift, might make NRG just that a bit scarier.
Haven was open, Ascent was open, yeah, they opted into Bind, and now, I mean, we really saw why.
Yes.
These guys were, you know, the former top team on this map back when it was that Optic core, but, you know, we thought with the meta changes, of course, the personnel changes, it's not the same as that old Optic squad, but nevertheless, they came out with very good ideas.
Absolutely. I think Ardis looked extremely comfortable in the Sage role and was providing a lot of value to the team. And what they've done with the Harbor, listen, it wasn't crazy flashy, but it made those retakes so much more difficult for 100 Thieves.
100 Thieves put up a very good fight, multiple clutch rounds. Saw that individuality really shining through from a lot of the players, but gonna find themselves on the back foot, losing this one. Still, it's map 1 over and done, but coming up next, map 2, so don't go anywhere.
He is currently unstoppable.
True.
He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.